everybody out there. Happy Friday.
Happy Horror Friday.
Yes. So tonight we are at the haunted house.
Basement of the Dead, Aurora, Illinois.
Oh yeah. We have to show you some of our friends. In the back you can see a little bit one. And then we have the clown.
And the clown is, I still gotta reverse the camera.
Okay, now you can see.
We're seeing lightning and rainbow.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's go closer. He wants to be in our podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I like your evil laugh now.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Hello, everybody out there. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween.
I'm Isabela Rangel.
And I'm Richard Burgin.
Tonight we will talk about Halloween 1978, directed by John Carpenter. Halloween is a classic horror film that talks about an evil serial killer, Michael Myers.
And he has the unforgettable white mask, and I remember reading in the trivia that it was just a William Shatner mask. I think they bought it like at the dollar store or something. So it goes to show that something very simple can be very
It's scary.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of suspenseful scenes, you know. That's what I feel the difference between this movie made in the 70s and the horror films now is because it's the horror films now they show very explicit gore scenes, you know. And this movie, no, it's a lot of suspense. It's more about the suspense, you know, not showing his face. All the scenes, they have a wonderful
You can feel
soundtrack.
his presence. Yeah, the soundtrack is incredible. And I think even just, you know, the opening credits for this movie, when the music starts playing, you see the jack-o'-lantern with the glowing orange text, you know, it sets the mood perfectly. And I think, you know, this is a major benefit of having opening credits or listing all of the major cast and crew for the movie at the beginning, is that you can really set the mood with the right kind of opening credit sequence if you do it right.
Yeah, and most of the scenes are filmed at night with the noir lightning. You know, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see through his eyes, and that's very suspenseful.
In the beginning sequence, you're seeing it from his
mask, and then at a certain point he put the mask on, and then you can see like that.
No, I really like in the opening shot is that, you know, we're seeing it all from Michael's perspective. In fact, we don't see him at all until the end of the opening sequence. It's all is that you're seeing it through somebody's eyes, and we don't quite know who yet, and we're kind of breaking into this house in a very voyeuristic way, and then at the end of the opening sequence, then we say, oh, you know, this is a 6-year-old kid who just killed his sister and her boyfriend. So it's very, and that is
impressive.
That's a big twist, because it feels like you're seeing it through this perverted adult's eyes, but then you realize, oh, he is actually a child sociopath and he just did this.
Yes, and the scene where he kills the sister, she's naked, that reminds me Psycho a lot.
It is very, very Psycho, and it makes me think of the scene in the Bates Motel right before the shower sequence where Norman Bates is looking through the peephole in the window, and
The bathroom. He likes to look.
yeah,
When they are showering.
that's why that there's an interesting detail in Psycho where when she checks in, Norman originally reaches for a different room key, and then he reaches for room one. So I think he has a moment of hesitation there, and then he decides, okay, I want her to be in room one, and because I have this room set up for spying on women in the
Yes, he
shower and
likes
for
to look at
murder.
women. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and then when Michael stabbed his sister, yeah, that's very like psycho when
yeah.
she's getting stabbed in the shower with a big knife.
Oh yeah.
That reminds me a lot of that scene. It's
And
like a
yeah,
tribute, right?
it's very Hitchcock inspired in the way it's filmed too. Is that it is like the opening sequence of Psycho, where the camera is zooming into their hotel room. In this case, the camera is following Michael as he enters his house and is spying on his sister and her boyfriend, and it's kind of the camera work is very much implying that the audience is seeing through things from Michael Myers'
Yeah.
perspective or Norman Bates's perspective. It's kind of
Yeah.
putting the viewer in the eyes of the killer before the murder sequence. That's what Hitchcock and John Carpenter
Yeah.
were doing.
And they set the atmosphere very well. The soundtrack is just amazing.
Soundtrack
It's
is
a classic.
incredible.
Yes.
I listen to it, when I'm doing other things, just, to set the mood. I think every day is kind of like Halloween for us.
Yeah. And today's our
We're
special
that kind of
Halloween.
couple.
Yeah. It feels very Halloween.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And how do you feel? You said that this movie reminds you being in the suburbs, in the Midwest. How do you feel about that? Because it's very suburbs, the
Yeah.
houses and everything.
Well, I think that, if you're looking at, what happened in America after World War II, there was a major movement of people to the suburbs, and people were leaving the cities like New York and Chicago and Detroit and St. Louis and Philadelphia and all of these other big cities. People were leaving the cities and moving to the suburbs, and there was a major growth of suburbs in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and families had a lot of reasons for moving to the suburbs, and one of the reasons is that they want this kind of safe and wholesome environment for their kids. They wanted to grow up, their kids to be raised in this very traditional environment where there was seemingly very little crime, seemingly very little corruption. So in Halloween, Michael Myers is banished from his home in the suburbs in Haddonfield, Illinois. He is sent to the mental hospital, and then he comes back to invade his safe and bucolic neighborhood.
Yeah.
He is the demon that they banished from their safe community, and now he's coming back with a vengeance to destroy
to hunt all these people.
to destroy the safe haven that they built.
Yeah, what I think is very captivating about this movie is definitely the suspense. The suspense,
Oh, yeah.
Is very suspenseful, and he was able to capture all the suspense in all the scenes. You don't know what to expect.
Well, he's always on the hunt.
Next. Yeah.
He's always stalking these girls, and I think that it does capture very effectively, with the dialogue and the acting, the sense of kind of like teenagers and kids kind of going about their days. The dialogue is very typical.
It is.
And everything seems very normal, so it does kind of feel like you're getting this snapshot of like everyday life that is about to be severely disrupted by this psychopath.
Yeah. Another thing I like about this movie is like no drama.
Yeah,
You know, everything seems to fit and no drama between the characters because it's something that I notice in the new horror films. They create a drama, a necessary story,
that is
and that
true.
kinds of take the focus out of the, the characters and out of the, the plot.
No, Halloween, 1978 Halloween, because I know there have been, several remakes and about
Yeah.
10 or 20 sequels by now. So John Carpenter's Halloween 1978 is very, stripped down. It is very focused. There's not really anything that's not immediately relevant
Yes.
to the
Yes.
story.
That's very cool.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I mean it's the perfect atmosphere, for the murders. Oh yeah. So what is your favorite scene?
Well, I think the whole sequence where he kills the boyfriend and then dresses up as a ghost with his glasses. That is something that always stuck with me from the first time I saw it when I was younger. And he impales this guy on the door. It's like just nailed to the door with the
With the
knife
knife,
going through
yeah.
his abdomen, and then at first, she's like, oh, stop, Paul, stop
Yes.
fooling around, and then she realizes, oh, that's not Paul.
And she gets killed with a phone.
Yeah.
With a phone wire, in her neck.
That whole sequence is really
Yes.
memorable. It's really well done. And another thing that, John Carpenter does really well in Halloween is, he shows the details of how Michael breaks into each of these houses. He's kind of like setting up in the foreground of, showing, this is how he gets in. They left the door unlocked. Or
Which
they
is
left their
very
car
common.
unlocked.
It's very
Yeah.
common, in the suburbs. I can
Yeah, and in a
totally
town like
understand that, if it's not many murders
Oh,
at
yeah.
all, the crime rate is pretty low. And they have those gates, which is super easy to open.
Yeah, in a town like Haddonfield, they wouldn't be expecting this to happen, although they should have had a lot better security at the mental hospital where Michael was staying. I mean, they wouldn't put him in like the normal mental hospital ward. He would need to be in a severe ward where they keep insane criminals.
Yeah, the doctor mentioned in the movie, he is pure evil.
Yeah. I looked into his eyes
Yes,
and I saw pure evil.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have this feeling. People that work in these facilities with serial killers.
Oh, yeah. Well, thankfully, there aren't too many serial killers, and most of the ones that are out there get sent to a maximum security prison. But I think with Michael Myers, because he was so young when he killed his sister and her boyfriend, he was 6 years old. They can't send him to maximum security prison
Mm-hmm.
when he is 6, so they sent him to the less secure insane asylum, and that kind of gets into the whole issue, which people are born evil and which people are made evil. And I think that, people like to think of kids as being, innocent, but some people are born with naturally evil, sociopathic genes, and there's not a lot you can do to stop them from doing bad things.
Yeah, I wonder how much the environment really interfere with that.
Oh, yeah.
Where you grow up, how much if you would have a better chance if you grew up in a different family, how much the social aspect interfere in these cases.
Well, I guess it depends.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I look at it usually is that if you have somebody who's like born a psychopath and then you give them really good parenting, growing up in a really good environment and everything, they'll probably become like a white collar criminal.
Yeah, that's true.
And screw people over like in business or something, but they probably won't become a mass murderer.
Yeah.
That would be my thinking.
Yeah, because I think about Charles Manson. He had all the circumstances to be the worst, what he could be. Because his mom was a criminal, was a dysfunctional home. So he just he got really bad because of that.
He was in prison for most of his life.
Yeah.
But also a lot of people who were born into those circumstances never kill anyone or start a cult.
No, that doesn't justify anything. Of course not.
So it did have something to do with what was genetic in him from when he was born, but then his environment made it worse.
Made it worse, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
His mom also committed a whole bunch of small crimes.
And I think Manson, and that's a whole other episode, I guess, for us to make in the future, the Manson episode. But I think for him, too, a lot of it was resentment. He really resented, these people in Hollywood who seemed to have everything he wanted because Manson was a frustrated musician with his songs.
He wanted to be famous at any cost. And
he became famous at any cost.
Yes.
The cost of life in prison.
Yes, and killing innocent people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I guess, maybe Michael Myers resented everyone else in his town of Haddonfield, too, because they seem to be having, these nice, peaceful, normal lives while he got locked away. So, and it makes him an interesting character because he's completely silent. He's not like Freddy Krueger making jokes before he kills teenagers. He's completely silent, so you can project anything onto him.
He's breathing. Even his breathing, it's really, It's
that's all the dialogue he needs.
It's very suspenseful because you wonder, who is this person?
Oh,
We are so like, who is this guy? And I've always wondered, how is his face?
His mask falls off for a split second, but we don't see much of his face.
We don't see much. Yeah.
And we see his face as a kid while he's wearing the clown costume.
He looks like an innocent kid, like blonde.
Almost innocent. Yes. Almost innocent.
Yes. But it's all the movie built on suspense.
Oh, yeah. And then an interesting detail that I only noticed on the last time that I watched Halloween is that Michael is wearing the clown costume when he kills his sister, and then later on in the movie they show Laurie's little brother, Jamie Lee Curtis's little brother, and he is also wearing a clown costume. So I don't know why John Carpenter included that detail, but that's something that stood out to me. It's a similar looking child actor, similar costume. So that stood out to me when I watched it this most recent time.
Yeah.
I guess maybe saying that, Michael could be any kid on, this quiet suburban street. He could be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Or anyone could be like him.
Yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis, she became famous for this movie mostly, right? She did
this was her first big role. And actually her first role
I think it's
ever.
her first role,
I think it's an introducing.
She's staring,
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was born into horror royalty, being Janet Leigh's daughter and Tony Curtis's daughter. So it's a great family lineage of being like a Scream Queen dynasty.
And another good scene is the scene that she's holding the knife and she's in the sofa.
Oh, yeah.
You said that's a classic scene.
That is, where she, gets up over the couch and she has the knife in hand.
Yes. And all the scenes most of the scenes have dark lightning.
No, I like the bluish tint, and that was kind of ahead of its time, because a lot of movies made in the 80s and 90s had that kind of bluish lighting in the night scenes. So John Carpenter was doing that for Halloween in 1970. Definitely this was a big influence on pretty much every slasher movie made in the 80s.
Definitely.
They were very strongly influenced by Halloween.
Yeah. It's a great film.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great, Cinesinners. So that's it for tonight. I hope you guys have a good Halloween, a very spooky one.
Have a spectacular Halloween.
Yes. Let us know how was your Halloween. Okay, give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe, become a member.
Help us spread our creepiness to friends and family.
Yes, and keep tuned for the next episodes.
Well, have a wonderful Halloween. Have a very scary Halloween. I hope you get in the Halloween spirit tonight. And until next week, bye, Cinesinners.
Bye.